This is the story of Altis in 1974. The communist takeover, the resulting naval battles between NATO and Warsaw Pact forces, and its eventual recapture by the British. The islands that would become the Republic of Altis and Stratis have known conflict from the early 20th century until modern times. Historians of Altis and Stratis tend to focus on events on land, but locals know they live on islands. They are surrounded and their lives are dominated by thalassa, the sea. And they know that control of the islands inevitably falls to those who exercise thalassocratia, sea power. With the Soviets supplying heavy weapons by sea, communist forces on Altis make their move. Vive la Revolution. It has been a week since the devastating ambush on the reconnaissance patrol from the Kavala Horse on the 12th of July 1974. The purpose of the patrol was to investigate reports of communist artillery northwest of Sirte. But the patrol was ambushed by communist insurgents, led by their Soviet advisor Nikolai Vasilievich. His Daimler Mark II destroyed, Lieutenant Marcos Papadakos, his crew, and the entire foot patrol from the Kavala Horse were killed. The insurgents used an RPG-7 to disable the armoured vehicle. The presence of RPG-7 is a significant increase in insurgent capability. Earlier reports suggested the RPG-7 was amongst a batch of small arms and ammunition smuggled to the insurgents by Soviet merchant vessels. More worrying, human sources amongst the insurgents claim the direct intervention of a Soviet advisor in the ambush, with suggestions he fired the RPG-7. A direct attack by Soviets on British colonial forces on British overseas territory. This could lead to war. But the British and their NATO allies have other things to worry about, more important even than the ambush outside Kore. The tense situation in Cyprus has flared up. A mere 3 days after the ambush, on the 15th of July, the Cypriot National Guard, with support from the Greek military junta, launched a coup. They captured the presidential palace in Nicosia and removed the president, Archbishop Makarios. The coup plotters announced that Makarios was dead, but instead he had fled and was rescued by the British at Paphos, flown by helicopter to RAF Akrotiri, and from there by aircraft to Malta. In place of Makarios, the coup plotters installed Nikos Samson, a supporter of enosis, or union, with Greece. Nikos was a member of EOKA, a Greek Cypriot nationalist guerrilla organisation that fought for independence against the British. His nom de guerre was Atrotos, or invulnerable, and he was involved in at least 15 killings of British service personnel. Turkey claimed that Greece was shipping arms to the rebels by commercial airliner, and on 19 July, Makarios addressed the United Nations claiming Cyprus had been invaded by Greece. NATO now had an unthinkable nightmare scenario on its hands. Only months after the end of the October 1973 Yom Kippur crisis, 2 NATO members were on the brink of open hostilities, leaving exposed NATO's southern flank. The only winners? The Soviets. Back on Altis, the situation continues to deteriorate and violence continues to escalate. The colonial government has maintained a modest military presence since before World War II. The force is around 1/3 of its original size, in total almost a battalion. Their current dispositions are as follows. The Royal Altis Regiment, now an infantry company, provides security for the NATO airbase at Altis. The Kavala Horse, a reconnaissance squadron, has 1 troop based in eastern Altis, 1 troop conducting patrols in western Altis, and a 3rd troop in reserve near Kavala. Each troop has a single armoured vehicle, with the remainder footmobile. And the Altis Fusiliers, an infantry company, provides security for the government centre and port of Pyrgos with a platoon on Stratis. Events on Altis move fast. Merchants in Kavala, with strong ties to counterparts in Thessaloniki, have long supported their own version of enosis, a union between Altis and Greece. On 16 July, the Kavala Horse, still grieving the loss of so many comrades, throws in its lot with the merchants. Both groups openly demand enosis with Greece and independence from the British colonial government. Their commanding officer, Major Panagopoulos, consolidates all Kavala Horse elements in a defensive position around Kavala in southwest Altis. On 20 July, the communist insurgents receive word from their Soviet advisors of an impending Turkish invasion of Cyprus. They hold a Politburo meeting and decide that now is the time to attack, with the British and the rest of the world distracted. To clear the way to the airport, the insurgents must first eliminate the Royal Altis military police presence at Athira. The RAMP are responding to a report of a disturbance and shots fired at the church at Athira. The shots, heard over at the police station, were real, but the report was fake. As night begins to fall, a young insurgent by the nom de guerre of Leon, or Lion, volunteers for what must seem a one-way mission. Armed only with a Makarov pistol and a single magazine, Leon will ambush the police once they arrive at the church. A true believer, he is ready to be a martyr for the cause. To some, a hero. To others, merely a useful idiot. But a deadly one. True to his communist ideology, the attack on the police is a repudiation of state authority. And the location of attack at the church is a repudiation of moral authority. Leon peers around the pillar of the church grounds as the MP jeep approaches. His pistol empty, the insurgent, whose real name is Georgios Archanteros, runs away from the scene of the crime. This brutal premeditated triple murder will earn him the nickname the Lion of Athira. He becomes one of the heroes of the insurgency, and his murderous example will inspire his son. Some weeks ago, James Gostovsky had reported the presence of artillery in an insurgent-held area. Over flying northwest Altis, he was fired on.
Roger, go down, roger, bust, roger, turn 154, roger, go to altitude, roger, turn Roger, roger, turn, roger, go to Altis, roger, turn, 300,
and spotted what looked like field artillery.
roger,
His report was greeted with alarm but skepticism at Northwood headquarters. This capability exceeds anything the local military forces can provide. But the artillery is all too real. And in the early morning of 21st July 1974, it moves into firing position. An abandoned children's playground, reminder of happier times. The bucolic scene is rudely interrupted. Artillery fire. The guns on maximum elevation. The battery is formed from Altian communist guerrillas. Armed with Soviet equipment. And secretly trained in the Soviet Union. All supervised by Soviet officers. Even with cotton wool in his ears, they still ring. A condition similar to tinnitus, known as gunner ear. The outpost at Hill 88, north of Lacka and southwest of NATO airbase Altis. A quiet Sunday morning, and 2nd Platoon the Royal Altis Regiment is gathering for some early morning training after church parade. Their platoon commander tells them they will be practicing tactical formations until lunch. They have no idea what is about to hit them. The shells make an odd, unnatural whistling sound. But no one lives to tell about it. A single fire mission and a whole platoon is wiped out. Artillery is the game changer for this revolution. Witnesses outside Lacka describe a shower of shells from the northwest, exploding amongst the watchtowers of Hill 88 and setting them ablaze. From the hills of northwest Altis, the guns can fire all the way to Pyrgos Bay and the NATO airbase. Residents in an apartment complex near the airport rush to the rooftop to get a better look at the destruction. Company headquarters of the Royal Altis Regiment, based at NATO Airbase Altis, looks on the pillars of smoke in horror. No one could have survived that barrage. Their commanding officer realises their position at the airbase is exposed, indefensible, and hopeless. He reports by telephone back to brigade headquarters and prepares his remaining soldiers to move south to Neokori. Thomas Fossington Smythe, Governor of the British Overseas Territory of Altis, stands in front of the government compound in Pyrgos. Wearing his full-dress uniform, he is going for a little Sunday drive in the official car. It was a gift after the war from one of those unconventional warfare types. All beard and scruffy uniform, no doubt, he thinks. As is his custom on Sunday, he is driving himself and has left his driver and ADC behind. Driving on the left, of course, even in this continental left-hand drive vehicle, he navigates the quiet streets of Pyrgos. He was headed for the NATO airbase Altis for a military flight to RAF Akrotiri in Cyprus. But, after this morning's attack on Hill 88, the airbase is closed to traffic. And he received an urgent cablegram with new instructions. And a new extraction point. He is heading south past the village of Faronaki. You see, he has been summoned back to London for consultations with the Foreign and Commonwealth Office. This lovely diplomatic phrase implies that his much valued wisdom and expertise is needed to shed some light on the murky security situation out on Altis. In reality, Fossington Smythe is being sacked. Little wonder after the beastly attack on the Kavala Horse a week ago. 12 men killed in broad daylight. And the Provost Marshal of the Royal Altis Military Police told him this morning they had lost contact with their station in Arthura, west of the airbase. He passes through a security checkpoint. No sign of the Altis Fusiliers who would normally man this post. Despite everything, he has enjoyed his time in Altis. Every Sunday he would take the official car and go on a drive and a picnic. This is his last Sunday drive. Fossington Smythe wistfully hopes he might be allowed to return to Altis once the situation dies down and security is restored. Or perhaps he could move here after his retirement, buy a small cottage for £1,000 and live a quiet life, pottering around the garden and looking out over the Aegean. He is, like all FCO men, an optimist. One has to be. But in his heart of hearts, he knows he will never set foot on Altis again, He is, like all FCO men, a realist. One has to be. So he slows the car down to take a last look across Pyrgos Bay. Another rabbit by the roadside. Curse them, he thinks. He's being recalled because of the insurgents. Much like the rabbits, they are everywhere on the island, popping up in the most unexpected places and times. They are a pest. You can shoot them, of course, but there is no getting rid of them. He did no better eradicating the insurgency than he would have eradicating the rabbits. And so he is being recalled. Coming up on the turnoff now. Ahead is Faronaki, but his future is to the left. And another damned rabbit blocks his way. How appropriate. He will miss this island. Truly beautiful. In better times it would be popular with tourists. Bed and breakfasts, that kind of thing. Fossington Smythe wonders whether he should offer to return and help out with the counterinsurgency. After all, he did his national service on Cyprus in the 1950s. He has seen things. But what could he do? The Kavala horse has gone rogue and called for independence. The Royal Altis Regiment told him this morning they could no longer hold the airport and were retreating south. And the Fusiliers aren't even manning security checkpoints anymore. No doubt London is recalling him for his own personal security, his inner optimist thinks. But his inner realist knows it is more likely to save Her Majesty's government from any embarrassment that would arise from his death or capture. The sort of thing that could lead to a scandal in the papers, and the usual moans about loss of empire. Up ahead, the helicopter. Right on time. He hurries along. Best not miss the RV, and have the FCO think he has gone rogue. He would normally be excited at the prospect of a helicopter ride. Instead, he just feels flat, almost sad. He parks the official car out of sight, next to the wall. His driver will recover it later. For a moment, he is tempted to drive it into the ocean, lest it fall into the hands of some ghastly insurgent leader. Farewell, Altis. A new Puma helicopter. Operated by 84 Squadron, based at RAF Akrotiri in Cyprus. Fossington Smythe takes a long last look across the Pyrgos Bay at the island of Altis. A mix of sadness, frustration, and loss. He wonders, is this what retreat from empire feels like? In the next episode, communist forces on Altis make rapid gains and government forces retreat in the face of devastating artillery fire. Thanks for watching. Please remember to like, comment, subscribe and donate. And stay tuned for the next episode.